So here's the thing. When people come to me because they want to learn Spanish, they want to speak better, speak faster, and not do all this boring grammar stuff that everybody hates, pretty much. Here's what you're looking at when you decide you want to speak Spanish and understand Spanish better. You're going to be dealing with a bunch of tiny sounds which all have different meanings, and it's going to be very beneficial to you to remember them all. Now, that is a process that takes over time. You can speak in good, proficient, everyday sentences within the first 4 weeks. Assuming you come from zero, you know 5 words in Spanish at all, but you can actually speak everyday sentences and cover all your needs within about 4 weeks from 2 to 3 times a week working with me. But that's only the beginning of the language, of course. So as we progress along with time, it's a two-way highway, let's say. One lane is you speaking, you expressing yourself better. Everything you want to say, everything you think, we basically take your life and translate them into Spanish. If you run every day, if you play golf, if you volunteer, if you swim, if you surf, if you travel, if you're a foodie, whatever it is you like to do, that's what we're going to teach you how to say in Spanish in your new language. The second lane of the highway is what's coming your way. It's everything you hear around you. People speak, radio, TV shows, commercials, Facebook posts, interacting with your friends and neighbors. You obviously going to speak as a beginner, but we're going to give you some very powerful keys that are going to unlock a lot of what you hear around you. And the key to that is to understand that if you're coming from English-speaking language, English is a very different language than Spanish. They're not even related. So a lot of the structure and the logic behind things, a lot of the things work differently. And straight off the gate, the very beginner's baseline core elements of the language, the absolute necessities, work very different than how they work in English. For example, having 4 different words for the word the. Depends if it's the male object, the female object, the multiple male objects, the plural female only objects. El taco, la quesadilla, los tacos, las quesadillas. So obviously remembering 4 words becomes a lot. So I always recommend pick one and stick to it until you master all of them. That takes time, that's okay. But as a consequence from that, every description word in Spanish would also have 4 versions, male, female, plurals, and plural females only. So during the lessons, we just narrow it down. We'll give you 1 or 2 options because most people can juggle 1 or 2 words in their brain. I don't typically give a lot of homework because most people I work with, they're busy. They don't have a lot of time to sit and do 3 hours of homework every week. So that doesn't happen in my lessons. We don't do that at all. What I will tell you to do is to write down a bunch of sentences so you can put everything we learned into play. And you can also explain things to yourself. When you write things like, I'll be late today. I'm at the store, do you need anything? Can you drop me off here? Can you drop me off in the corner? Can you come by my house around 7? I'm cooking steaks. So everything you basically say in your everyday life, some of it is going to be structured differently. So we'll teach you the why behind things, why things work the way they work, so you can build on it. And we're also going to teach you how to decode what you're hearing without even understanding fully the sentence or every single word under the sun, because you will not understand all the words. It'll take time. The next aspect is that the good news is Spanish has a bunch of designated words for every single person. Every single verb in Spanish will tell you who's doing the action and at what time tense. Is it a future, a past, or a present? So without needing to know a lot of words, you can understand what's going on in a sentence. And then we'll just show you how to ask the questions that will help you narrow down the possibilities and get a yes or no answer from the person or a clear-cut picture of what it is you're hearing. So that is the good news. You can get some things wrong, but a lot of what you're hearing is going to tell you precisely who's doing the action, at what time tense, what's going on, is it multiple females, is it single male, etc. So a lot of things become easier to sort through. We just want to kind of paint by numbers, kind of sort through the majority of things, and then whatever is left on the table, you can just ask a few questions to narrow it down. As we further along progress, we're going to cover a bit more advanced concepts. Some of them is the reflexive verbs, for example, why say in some of the sentences. This is an area a lot of people, English-speaking people, battle with. It's very different than how it works in English. And a lot of people are really afraid to make a mistake. So they kind of stop themselves from thinking because they really want to get it right. It's the number one thing that hinders you from speaking. People who are like not really stressed out about it, speaking correctly, they just speak and their learning curve is faster. They just gain momentum. So yes, Spanish grammar is good and I put an emphasis on it, but it's not like a jail. You have your freedom of movement, which is what you like to have. We're also focusing on everyday life things because the intellectual curiosity aside, this is something you can do in your own time. I'm here to guide you and help you work through translating your life into Spanish in the easiest way possible. Some of the other advanced things, like the difference between fue and era, which both literally stand for it was, it were, it happened, it was at a location, it was fixed quality. There's also a difference between fixed qualities and temporary positions and locations. So the equivalents of am, is, and are, and was and were, they'll have two words for them, depending if it's a fixed quality or a temporary position or location. That's typically something we cover within the first month. It takes a little bit of mental hoopla. It's not one of the most complicated things, but it's definitely a baseline. You want to get that right because that is the foundation on which you build on. If you have a good solid foundation, you'll be able to build a skyscraper on it. All buildings are built on nice even ground and a thick layer of firm concrete. That is the foundation for everything, whether it's a two-story cabin or a 50-story skyscraper. So we're going to give you all the tools so you can expand on them. And just some fun conversation practice in the weekly conversational groups where everybody makes mistakes, everybody have a lot of laughs. You're going to learn with people like you. So nobody's judging you, everybody's in the same boat. And every lesson somebody says something that puts up the light bulb moment for somebody else in the group. So that's very beneficial and it's also a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to seeing you in my next groups.